Welcome to another episode of Epicgamerdad Game Reviews. On today's review, we'll be taking a look at IHRA's Professional Drag Racing 2005. I scored this little piece of work for a whopping $3. The case looked new, the book is in pristine condition, the game as well. It looked like it hadn't been touched since the game was first opened. I've never seen this game before, so I figured, what the heck? How bad can this game really be? Then I noticed as I was gazing into the intricacies of the case, this game was developed by Bethesda. Bethesda holds a special place in my heart, especially from the Elder Scrolls games. They also made games like Rogue Warrior, Fallout 3 and on, Doom 2 and on, just to name a few. I mean, if they can make games like that, I bet you they're gonna make a really epic drag racing game. I mean, it can't be that hard to design an epic racing game, especially if it's as simple as drag racing. Then I put this game in, and I was greeted with the most epic of intros I've seen in an old school game. This intro makes some of the most hardcore games look silly. It makes Uniracer's intro look like a bunch of peasants trying to put out a hut fire. I couldn't help but turn over the case and I began to read. From the creator of the most successful drag racing game in the world comes the next generation of drag racing action. IHRA Pro takes this best-selling series into a new level with its outstanding graphics, realistic physics, presentation, and most importantly, intense racing action. Well, okay then. Let's do this. My excitement was greeted with a 15-minute loading time. I mean, the loading time was so long, it made me begin to question reality. I quickly asked myself, am I playing on a modern console? You know, because new games take 3 hours to load, not the original Xbox. I glanced down at my hands to see an original controller. Well, I'm not in a temporal vortex or in a time anomaly. It must be okay. The stupidity had started. Strike one. After what seemed to be forever, it finally loaded to the main menu. I jumped right in with excitement. Straight to arcade mode. We don't need training wheels here. I've been playing racing games since I was a wee lad. How hard could this be? Well, let me tell you, I was met with the dumbest control design I have ever experienced. It took me 8 starts to figure out how to even line up to the starting strip. I mean, for Pete's sakes, A was shifting gears, but it didn't shift like normal as you would press the button and it would climb in concession like 1, 2, 3. No, it would only go from first to reverse. I tried everything. Button smashing, button spamming to see if I could find something simple like the brakes. I would pull in the left trigger because that's normally the brake button, but it didn't seem like the vehicle would come to a stop. So what I did was I used A to downshift as I was creeping forward and timed it just right to set up to the starting line. After about 15 tries, I was able to get the car to creep up to the line to where the count tree would start. And the second the green light hit green, boom, baby, stomp that gas pedal into light speed. As exciting and exhilarating as it was to be able to get my car to go without having the computer constantly scream at me, wrong, try again, I knew there was something wrong here. The problem was I was doing a rolling start. I don't know much about drag racing, but I do know that's a no-no. And this game freaks out about every little mistake except for that. Stupid stuff strike 2. I swear to the power of the Swiss cheese makers, this game is picky about the dumbest stuff. This was enough for me to just say, okay, good night, toodaloo sauce. The next day I was in the office looking over some paperwork and I started to read the back of the case. Once again, this game has builder mode, gives you over 100 parts, over 40 vehicles to work with. You can custom paint, you have your own shop as well as a trophy room. There are 30 recreations of 11 officially licensed IHRA tracks with multiple weather patterns. You get several tiers of different cars like Top Fuel, Pro Mod, Pro Stock, and Alcohol Funny Cars. Once again, the words of sweet nothingness were whispered into my mind. and I figured, how bad could this be? So I humbled myself and said, okay, let's try this again. Let's try simulation mode. And let's see if there's a tutorial so that I can possibly learn the controls better. That way I can figure out what I'm doing wrong. I mean, this is a Bethesda game, for Swiss cheese sakes. My hopes were aroused when I found in simulation mode something called the blind test. And it turned out to be a holy rage quit moment. In most cases, this would have been enough for me to say no more. This is not worth my time. But I am stubborn, especially for you. So luckily I was able to memorize the controller button configuration just so I could pass the test, learning absolutely nothing. I mean, the process doesn't even tell you what you need to do at all. In the right hand corner, it has a list of actions you need to perform in order to drive the car, but it doesn't highlight any of the buttons to tell you what you need to do. And if you don't respond within about a second and a half, you are instantly greeted with the wrong, try again, stupidity, strike 3. You know, the designers of the game could have at least given you a basic button tutorial of what you need to do before you go into the blind test. Would have been way more practical. But instead, they rather blindfold you, give you an address, and tell you to go there, and every time you make a mistake, they yell at you, wrong, try again. And no matter how far you got, they pick you up and put you right back where you started from again. Simply stupid. At this point, I can just envision Bethesda calling up Bubba J and asking him if he would like to be the project manager of this game. And in my mind, I can hear Bubba J answering the phone in the conversation saying, the only thing better than a left turn is no left turns. Everything you experience in this game is idiocracy. You can literally smell the stupidity lingering, kind of like after you step into a fresh pile of doggy doo, and no matter what you do, you can't get the smell off the shoe. Yes, this game is that dumb. How do you ruin a drag racing game, Bethesda? I can hear Bubba in the background every time you mess up, and the game is screaming at you, wrong, start over. I did that one. Everything in the game looks like it was designed with the intelligence of an apricot, but not as yummy. When you are trying to get your license, there's literally 2 stages that are labeled differently, but are practically the same damn thing. Like, why? You can't think of anything else? I'm not even a game developer. I don't even consider myself to be the super smart person. But as I'm playing this game, I can instantly ask, you can't do anything better than this? I mean, you couldn't even make a mini game out of the quick check of your vehicle before you go off the launch line? I mean, it makes better sense to even do an equipment check of your engine. Any of those thoughts are better than repeating the same dumb thing twice. You're literally doing the same action 6 times, and one of them, you don't even get to burn out. This game claims to be the best-selling drag racing series of all time, maybe of 2005 and prior anyway. I couldn't help to think, were there any other drag racing games to compete against this pile of stinky steam? So I tried to look up some information, and with no prevail. Simply too much junk to search through, so I moved on. With all my enamoring on this video, I have probably brought you to the conclusion that this game is utterly junk. And at this point, you may be asking, are there any redeeming qualities of this game? Well, yes. The 10 seconds of actual racing is not bad. It's simple. Just make sure you have your tires tuned right, and you don't even have to touch the steering wheel. Unfortunately, nobody is satisfied with 10 seconds of joy. Well, most people anyway. If Bethesda would have just left Bubba J out of the equation, they would have had something special. But this title is clearly a Will Hunting. It has the potential to be a great game, it's just missing some attention to detail that would definitely make this game better. If I would have bought this game for a standard retail price, I would have been pissed. But for the $3 I spent, I've spent more money on worse. I am definitely going to agree with IGN on this one, but I'm gonna give it a little bit lower of a score. A solid 2. It's a playable 2, but a 2 because it was covered in so much stupidity. I think Bethesda knew what they were doing was wrong. The series came to a grateful death in 2006, Bethesda must have come to the truth and realized what needed to be done after they slapped themselves in the face for creating such an atrocity. For crying out loud, I feel like a parent that needs to discipline their child for playing with poo. That's about all I have to say for this. Once again, thank you for watching another episode of Epicgamerdad Reviews. Hey, if you enjoy our videos, would you please consider subscribing, liking, and or sharing these videos? Every subscribe and like that you do greatly encourages me to create more videos like this. Thank you for your time. Thanks for hanging out with me. Have a great day.